Hello, everybody. We're back again. My name is Danielle Goodwin, and I'm the Director of Business Development with Coldwell Banker Tomlinson, and I have Dave and Leah Morgan here with us today.
Hello.
Hello. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here. We are on our second show this week for real life, real listings.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All right. Talk to me about when you first got started in real estate. I don't even know your story, so
okay,
that would be fun. I thought that would be a lot of fun because I don't know your story.
All right, you want to start with yours? You were in first.
Go since I was in first. Okay. Yep. So both of us has actually worked in hotels and at the same hotel. And I was in sales. No, we were married long before that.
Okay.
So I was director of sales on that, and she was in the management portion of it. So, but I was getting a little worn out of that, and had a friend that our kids played soccer together. And he happened to be an agent here and had a team and did all new construction and said, well, hey, if you take your test and get into real estate, we'll put you on here and get you started and go from there. So I did. I ended up quitting that and took my license and took a part-time job at a gym to just fill in a little bit of income there while we were going. And that's how that got started. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
And Dave, he actually worked mainly with investors and builders.
Sure.
So he did a lot of that part of that at, there. I just was like, wow, to look at houses, how fun is that? I've always been drawn to houses, so that was important. But I don't know. And I didn't get in because he was in necessarily. It was just like, oh, I wanted something different of that thing. So I was in the hotel industry for 17 years.
Sure.
Loved service, loved that stuff. So decided to, I was a hotel general manager and had transferred and worked in Flagstaff, Arizona for, and about midstream we decided to not move there. So I stayed there. Dave was here with the kids. Then we ended up having our daughter come with me, and he kind of traveled back and forth to see me during that year there.
Sure.
And so I tested, the day that I went and took that job, got my license the day on my way to the airport.
Did you really?
Yep. So, and that was kind of like my exit plan, was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So there.
Good for you.
Kind of there. And then the recession hit.
Oh, yes.
It was awesome. But yes, it was all good.
So you got in at the same time I did. Then, yeah, that was not fun.
No. It was,
right?
But did lots of short sales and made it work. So it was good.
It was an experience that taught you how to work.
Right. Exactly.
And how to
you're
really
helping
build your
people.
business.
I mean, you hear those stories and you're just like, oh my gosh, please try to help. So.
Yes.
Yep.
Talk to me about, do you remember your first transaction?
I do.
Me first again? Okay.
Well, why not?
So I was sitting a brand new subdivision. We repped the whole sub.
Yep.
And I had 6 open houses there at one time, and it's end of the day, and I'm putting the last open house signs in my car, and this guy comes up to me and he says, "Hey, are you selling these houses?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, I want to buy that one right there."
Okay.
So I said, okay, well, let me put the sign in. I'll get my briefcase. We'll go in the house and we'll write up the contract. So the builder actually happened to be an agent that also built that was in our office.
Okay.
Which did make it easier because I could walk through and ask him questions and all that.
Sure.
Now, the funny thing with this gentleman, he was retired Army. He was a retired Major.
Oh,
and his last name was Payne. Just like
Major
the
Payne.
movie. Just like the movie, Major Payne. And it actually was for a little bit of it. So he had some odd requests. And but yeah, thanks to, because since the training's been so well and everything, with here and even our team and all that we were able to, and being able to work with the builder right in office.
It was great.
It still went pretty smooth. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
So you both did your separate first transactions. You did new construction and you did...
he was actually in the business a year or two before
Okay,
I was.
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so completely independent. And we still actually, even when he was building, still never had a transaction together. So we've been completely independent the entire time. At the same time, we help and do everything else, wherever we can. So,
I love it.
So, yeah. So...
you're a good team.
Yeah. So my first transaction was for a friend that took a chance, and that was like, and I was terrified. I literally had the RE21 in 7 versions with highlighters of every which way that somebody might ask it to fill in.
I love
because I was so paranoid I was going to mess up. So anyway, of course it worked out great, and And we're still lifelong friends. So
Aw.
I think we've sold, 3 more houses for them. So it's fantastic.
Isn't that fun how you become lifelong friends with people like
yeah.
that?
And we were friends beforehand, but now it's even better. So it's good.
Yeah. I was just speaking about that on transactions that you go through, and you are literally therapist, mom, dad, sometimes, the thing, all the things. And then you come on the outside of it and they're either a part of your family or you're very, very close.
Right. Absolutely.
That's pretty awesome.
That's the best part.
That is the best part, because real estate, like I said, is not always about sales. It's about building the relationship.
And people, they're not walking dollar signs. So it's really like, hey, how can we help get through this? And sometimes it's good situations, and sometimes it's not. So
absolutely,
how to get them through it.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to get a referral than to try and advertise and find business per se. So.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So the running question is, why did you pick Coldwell Banker Tomlinson to affiliate with in your career?
Well, Dave was already there.
I picked because he was with, my friend was with them.
Okay.
With Coldwell Banker. So, and of course, I've always been with this company the entire time.
Yeah.
I get 20 years in October this year.
Good for you.
Will be 20, and it's all been
I love it.
Coldwell Banker. And so, and I did, like I mentioned before, I liked it because, they put us through the training class together, all that. And even one of the gentlemen that I went through class with, him and I and my other friend agent that was the team leader, actually started a building company, and then we built for investors. And so, it just all, they've just been really supportive, and, and I believe you need to learn what you're doing, especially with, contract. That was kind of my first week. Our team leader said, well, your classes don't start, but here's a contract and here's a listing. Run through it and see how you,
Sure.
Run through it on a dry run and see how you do, and then we'll go from there and see what you did right or wrong, and that type of thing. So,
And then for me, it wasn't completely automatic. I actually researched before, because I was like, I'm that way. So I was like, I want to research and see, does this, and when I met, at the time, broker was Larry Laraway.
Yeah.
And I loved Larry. I loved his story. Just really liked everything about him, and I felt like he was super ethical, and just wanted, those that feeling of when you're walking in and the culture that was there. And so that was really important. I also, at the time, our office manager was Scott Dykstra.
Yeah.
And so he said some funny words, and I don't know if I should repeat them, so I won't. But he said some funny words, and it made me go, oh, okay. And so it just helped us kind of move forward, and we've just always, and there have been a couple times that we thought, oh, let's look around and see what else is out there, but we just have always loved the culture, and what this company stands more than just dollar signs. It's about the family, and they really treat the agent as their biggest asset. And that's important.
Yeah. That is the main theme, I think, for Coldwell Banker Tomlinson is the culture here, and I truly believe that.
Yeah, I had a title person one time tell me, she goes, oh, Coldwell Banker, that's the old company?
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Old company? What? Okay, now this was, 20 years ago, and I wasn't quite as old as I am now. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, is this? Everyone, I never felt that way at all.
Yeah.
And they were fantastic. They were great people. And to me, that's just more important.
Right?
Yep.
It is. It absolutely is. And we're not old.
No, not old. No. We're experienced, maybe.
Longevity is not a bad thing.
There you go.
It is true. Yeah.
I love the longevity with agents in this company. Now, I, on the other side, have been to a few of them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Independent brand all around, but so many of you have been here and planted here, and I love that, because it speaks volumes about who this company is, what we are, and what we tout, and that's culture.
Agreed. Yep.
Right?
Agreed.
I love it. Yep. Okay, 2 questions.
Okay.
Hardest thing about being a realtor, and easiest thing.
Hardest thing. Well, the easiest thing really is, when you're going in with an open heart and mind, and you're like, okay, what can we do to help this person? The hardest thing sometimes is the answer to that. Because sometimes it's not what they want to hear.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, so that sometimes is the hard part, I guess. The other thing, I think, for me, I'm a go-getter, so it's like, okay, I want to be able to be there for them. It's hard sometimes to take breaks and vacations, so I will say that for me is tough.
Yeah.
Well, but I still love it, because it's not really like work. But so
it's true, right?
It just makes it harder for him. So
Yeah, I think the hardest part for me is sometimes actually working with people, but working with the people that you're trying to help, and they're just not quite getting it. So you kind of laid it out for them, and then they say, well, let's do this. I'm like, that's what we said not to do.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that type of thing. And it does sink in a bit. So that it gets frustrating, you know, at first.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably the hardest thing a lot of times. And probably the easiest thing, I like it because it's self-employed.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest frustration when I left hotel. I put in a lot of effort. I had a lot of sales, and you're just kind of capped.
Yeah.
You're doing by what, you know, and I'm like, well, if I'm going to put in this many hours, I should be, you know, so, and this is, if you work hard, put in the time, and it is work, despite, I'm sure, what a lot of people think, you know.
It is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And those that don't work, you know, don't do it. That's why 20% do 80% of the business. So
sure.
Yep.
And 20% of that do 80% of that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I know. So I like it from that part too. Yep. So
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Talk to me about your favorite thing that you do on a daily basis, personally and in real estate.
I love, so probably my favorite thing is I do birthday calls.
Oh, I love that.
Every single day.
Do you?
There's a few days that haven't had birthdays, not very often. But I love birthday calls. The opposite of birthdays aren't as fun.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I love birthday calls and or anniversary calls. Their house anniversary plus their wedding anniversary.
I love it.
Every once in a while I hear, oh, we got divorced. Oh, okay. You know, or the birthday calls you get to hear and catch up. And so I love that part. When we go on a trip, if we're going to be someplace where I can't make calls, I'll make them the week before and say, hey, I'm going to be out of town on your birthday. I want to make this call for your birthday. And so I do love that.
Oh,
so that's probably my favorite.
Love it.
Yeah.
How about you?
My favorite part is probably if I can get the day going and get stuff that I had on my list and get it going and getting all that. So, because like I build houses too. So, you know, it's getting the jobs and making sure everything's lined up and going right and everything, you know, and it's kind of a good sense of accomplishment.
Sure.
For the day, and you can actually see what, you know, your end product was. So that type of thing. So that's kind of my. You
both work good as a team because you are I got to get the stuff done, and you are I want to make the birthday calls and the fun stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's rough because I'm the lollygagger. I'm the one that's like, okay, I really wanted the warm fuzzy stuff. I want to stage it. I want to get it there. You know, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And not saying that there's certain things that need to get done fast, but it does make sometimes kind of rough.
I mean, because, you know, our slogan is "Get More" with the Morgan team. So the big joke is, "My name is More."
Yeah.
Because
and then
I'm the one that'll do the sign or deliver whatever, or, you know, you're like, hey, if there's an extremely large man with a sledgehammer at your front door, he's not there to rob you. He's there to put a sign in your yard. So
that is our conversation.
Yeah.
But literally, I've had Dave. I'm like, Dave, they just need a little bit of help. I call them little LOLs. My little old ladies. They need a light bulb replaced. They can't find a handyman to do that. And so here's Dave, trying to fix a GFI or trying
match
to
paint or
it's a full service team.
We've done all kinds of
all kinds of things.
Drive a U-Haul to Phoenix or whatever.
So, lots of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, last question. Okay. Best part of your transaction besides the check?
Oh, and the check wouldn't have even come up because
I love this.
The check would not have even come up because. First of all, I love it. The very exciting part when you sit there and you talk, because their eyes are questioning. They're not sure, right?
Yes.
They're not sure whether they should go with you. They've read things on the internet. They're scared. They're, you know, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to say scared, but they're just like questioning. It's like, oh my gosh, this could get screwed up, right? And then when it gets down to the end and it happens, it's like, oh my gosh, the sense of relief that you can see on them. I love that part. So the signing part's really fun, or just like the day or two right before signing when it's like, oh, this is all happening.
Yeah.
You know, and you're seeing their dream come to fruition, right? And sometimes that dream is rough because like maybe there's a divorce or there's something going on. So not only do they want to sell that house just as much as somebody else wants to buy it, hopefully. Yeah. You know, they're just getting on to the next stage of their life.
Yeah.
The one thing when you ask me about what was the hardest is sometimes like I actually go through remorse or I really miss the people out of a transaction because I don't get to see them and I'm used to talking to them almost every day or once a week or something. And so that part is the part that is a bummer because I got initially invested with them and then they're on with their life and they're like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah. There's that crazy realtor lady or whatever, you know. So anyway, that's part of the hard part. But I do love that part right when they're just like, oh, it's all happening the way it was supposed to happen. So I love that part.
Absolutely. How about you?
Now, I don't do many the closing parts of it, because I am the more portion of it, I guess.
Yes.
But the ones that I do, it's probably kind of the same thing. I like, especially like for a first time home buyer.
Yeah.
Or something like that, because they're just like, wow, that was just, so great. And then, even months later, I may run into them or on something, and they're like, hey, thank you very much. And, just when everything really works out,
it does.
good, lifetime. And an investor doesn't have that same type of feel, because it's a numbers thing for them.
Sure.
Which is fine. So, but, I just kind of like that, because it is. I mean, it's your biggest purchase you're going to make in your life, so it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were speaking about that in the previous episode with Jen Clemens, who was on here, and she had mentioned first-time home buyers as being her favorite, and mine too. Yeah. As young kids, we bought homes, right? Yeah. And that's a little bit harder these days. We know. I was 19, like I was a kid, and I didn't realize.
But you didn't think you were a kid.
No, I knew everything. I didn't even realize the amount of responsibility, number one, and how big it was to buy a home and purchase a home. And so it's pretty cool to do it in the return and be able to hand keys over to whomever it is, it can be young, elderly, any type of, if it's their first home, it's always something special.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I've seriously appreciated getting to know both of you a little bit better since I've made my way into the Meridian office,
yes,
right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm super excited about your new subdivision.
Thank you. We're excited about that too. It's going gangbusters now, so that's
Yay.
awesome. So,
it's about time, right?
Finally,
it's about time. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Finally get some sticks and bricks. So that's a good thing.
I see them. I love it. Yeah. I'm getting jacked. So my husband and I drove past there the other day, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, look!"
I know there's actually framing going on. It's exciting.
So
yes,
good.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with me today.
Thanks for having us.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right.
We appreciate you.
See ya. Okay.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.